In this video, you are going to see what happens in real time when an employee is literally quitting a toxic workplace dynamic, okay? And you'll also see an employer, okay, pretty much not quite grasping the result of her decision of letting go of the majority of the team and expecting one person to still perform at the level of multiple employees. So at the end of the video clip, wait for my reaction at the end.
Of 6 or 7 people completely on my own. So despite the extra workload I had taken on, she was still constantly telling me that I wasn't doing enough and I needed to step up more. And one day she said we needed to schedule a call to discuss my work performance. Well, what she didn't know is that I was planning on quitting anyways because my social media earnings had surpassed my earnings from that job. So I decided to go ahead and do the call with her. Let's see how it went.
Thanks for meeting with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Just needed to do a little check-in. Okay, so I noticed that you're taking a lot of time off.
Okay, what do you mean by taking a lot of time off?
Well, I noticed like Wednesday afternoon you weren't working.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with that because I'm very much logged in and working all day, every day. I actually haven't taken any time off since I went to London last September, so there definitely hasn't been a lot of time off on my end.
Okay, so definition of working also isn't answering Slacks on your phone.
Yes, certainly. I do answer a lot of Slacks and emails before the workday starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Or after the workday, long after the workday ends, up to as late as 10, 11 at night, sometimes midnight. I'm not doing that instead of working. I'm doing that in addition to working, so.
So our work life is very, very on the computer. So I'm just curious what it was you were working on that was getting in the way of like the main activities.
I mean, I'm running 8 payrolls a month by myself. So between pulling final reports, pulling initial reports for payroll processing, loading EIBs, doing the OSV funding, doing the pre-release reports, keeping on top of termination, severance, running everything entirely by myself. It's a lot.
Things aren't getting done as quickly as they need to be.
Could the fact that we have nobody left on the team have anything to do with why things are not getting done rather than I'm dropping the ball and that's clearly the logical explanation?
So like Wednesday afternoon, I kind of expected the OSV report, maybe the follow-up on the leave of absence spreadsheet, the recalcs that the benefit team needs. It just feels like you're just not working.
Is it that I'm not working, or is it that I'm taking on the workload of the entire team by myself and that's why things are not getting done? And so when I'm taking on that much, absolutely things are going to fall through the cracks. I will openly admit that. Absolutely. I need help.
Yeah, but it's noticeable when you take time off, though.
I'm sure it is, yes. When there's nobody left on the team, yes, I'm sure it would be very noticeable if I take a few hours off in the afternoon. Yes, I'm sure that would be very noticeable. You're right.
It is really. And I try to give a lot of leeway for you to manage your own schedule, but then I just see things not getting done.
Yeah, and you say that I'm not working enough or not logged in enough or that I'm missing deadlines. My job on a fully staffed team is to do every other pay run and not every single pay run. So I'm not missing deadlines because the deadlines that are being missed are not mine. Okay, these are just things that I've been stepping up and taking on additional responsibility while also being expected to step in and help the international team on top of that. So
I just know things could be just getting done quicker. And I think it feels like you're trying to work part-time when this is a full-time role.
No, while I've been taking on the workload of the entire team by myself, I've been working from 6 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. regularly. But I definitely don't define that as part-time work. And if there are days where I have to take a couple hours off in the afternoon, that's probably because I spent the previous day working 15 or 16 hours and I need a couple hours to get things done that didn't get done while I was working all the extra time. If I work 15, 16-hour days, 3 days a week, and then the next day I work maybe 6 hours instead of 8 hours, I don't define that as part-time, certainly.
Just have to address it because I really feel that way.
I mean, from my end, I feel that I've been taking on my workload as well as while she's on leave with, no acknowledgement, no thanks for the extra work that I've been putting in, for the extra hours that I've been spending doing that. It's not even that I don't get any acknowledgement or thanks. It's that on top of that, I'm being told that I'm still not doing enough, even though I'm taking on the workload of 2 people.
Yeah, so I'll address that. This really, really is a full-time job. It's not part-time. And I know how long things take because I've done this for a long time.
The position that I'm in right now, I mean, I've been very transparent from day one that I do have a second job that is quite a full-time commitment.
Oh, is that your TikTok job?
I run 4 platforms. It's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And So
okay, I didn't realize that was a full-time commitment.
Oh yes, very full-time commitment, yes. Well, I mean, on top of that, with my mom passing away, there's also been the managing my mom's estate. With the monetizing of my 4th platform, my social media earnings are actually starting to surpass what I make. And then there's also the large inheritance payout that's coming in March. And so I'm not in a position where I have to stay, and I certainly don't want to cause any hindrance to the team. Like, I'm here to help because I know that there's no one left. But if it's gotten to a point where it's causing the team a hindrance rather than helping, that's not what I want. And so, I mean, it's really up to whatever you'd like to do. I'm happy to stay and help, or I cannot, like whatever you think is best for the team.
Yeah, I really do need somebody here like full time. And I know if you have like like your other job, for example, but I do need to know that someone's here like all day long, and that's just kind of what I expect. I guess maybe I thought the other platforms were more part-time, but yeah, it really is affecting the team, I think, because we just really need someone there all day.
Right, you want somebody who has no life and no commitments outside of this company, which I totally understand that desire, but it's not fair to ask or demand your employees to have no life and no other commitments outside of work. And I think that you'll have a really hard time finding that when you're looking to hire my replacement. So
where do we go from here?
I mean, it's totally up to you. Like I said, I'm happy to stay and help. Or if you think that won't be helpful, then I could not. It's totally up to you. Like, more than happy to stay and help, because I know that there's no one left. So I don't want to leave you in a position where you're doing everything by yourself.
Yeah, it is a little stressful, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I totally understand that you must be under a lot of stress as well, where there's nobody left on the team.
Yeah.
And I certainly empathize with that. And that's also why I've tried to take on the extra workload without complaint. It's just that this is exactly why you are the team lead and not me. I never wanted to be a team lead for this exact reason, because I don't want the extra work and responsibility where I already have a second full-time job. So when things become a dumpster fire, it is the responsibility of the team lead to step up and take on the extra responsibility, and not me.
I gotcha.
So I'm happy to throw buckets of water on the dumpster fire, but I'm not going to get in the dumpster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would love it if you stayed until you came back.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that all of the extra work.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me. So this video clip, I mean, I tell you right now, that employee had some real gumph to her to literally, I mean, let your boss know that you had 4 streams of income, additional streams of income. And I think it was an additional one, the inheritance, right? I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you observe, right, from what we've seen from the video clip, she's observed that her supervisor is incompetent in terms of team formation and team management and being a team leader. I mean, she's alleged there that, and I believe the supervisor confirmed it by her that employees left, right? Or no, the employees were let go, right? So yeah, it's interesting how when she brought that out, the employer brought that up, you could see the supervisor was not trying to go there to have that discussion, right? I would have really wanted to know what the dynamic was. Why did the employer just get rid of people just left and right and not plan for a healthy workload redistribution, right? You had the current employee that was there in the video, and then obviously there was another employee that they had, but she's on leave. Oh, and you know, the employee says that she didn't even know that her colleague was going to go on leave. So there you go, the supervisor not communicating well. So that gave me some insight that this supervisor is not great at communicating with her team, all right? Since there was no heads up to, you know, the lady that was quitting this toxic environment, that someone was going to leave. So yeah, absolutely, I could already see the dynamic, the toxic dynamics there for sure. Yeah, so additionally though, I feel like the supervisor is definitely, she expects a lot. with less people on the team, and that is just, you know, disappointing. That is a fantasy, that's a dream. But I have to give it to the current employee that she tried her darnest. Have you ever been in those situations when you're doing multiple jobs? I have, okay? And she's doing multiple jobs, it sounds like, because there's multiple team leaders left. So she tried her best. I think she tried her best. It sounds to me the employee may not have necessarily had a direct conversation with that supervisor and said something like, you know, I just can't handle this workload. And that's the thing about some employees, they just don't speak up until it's too late. To be fair, maybe she didn't speak up because she was getting additional income. That can happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen. But I believe, from what I'm hearing, is that this employee had no respect left for her supervisor. She didn't respect her leadership skills at all, to be mindful that of her, that she's the one literally having to handle the entire workload. And it didn't sound like the supervisor was pitching in to help with some of the teamwork, just maintain to do her own supervisory role. And that's a problem. That's not really being a team spirited person. What do you guys think? It's just not. It really isn't. So it's kind of sad to see this, but a lot of organizations go through this, right? They either do a restructuring, or people are restructuring and people leave, right? Or people are just leaving because it's a toxic environment. Or, well, now with AI, you know, teams are being slimmed down and still expected to do the same output. I really do believe that the supervisor is not skilled in what we call job design, all right? And this really incorporates how you basically distribute workload among different employees and really analyze the workflow in between employees, and really analyze how much one employee can do reasonably depending on their you know, job title as well, because some people can handle more than others, and there's various complexities there and various skills involved, right? But yeah, the supervisor just had no plan. It was, all right, yeah, we don't need these people. Yes, this person can be on leave, and we're just gonna allow you to do everything. And likely she did that because you could see from the employee, to me, she's a very hard worker. I mean, very hard worker. Focusing, she has her multiple streams of income. She's been working on social media platforms. That takes work, right? And doing this job of multiple people. So you can tell this woman is a hard worker. And I think because she was performing at a high level, I believe the supervisor thought, yeah, she's gonna be fine. She's fine. And that gives me insight, like I pretty much said at the top of this video, the employee did not speak directly, have direct conversation, that this is just too much for me. I've been in a similar situation before, but after about a year, I had the conversation with my boss, all right? Because I had my colleague who decided to leave because she didn't get a managerial position, so she left. And then I'm doing, you know, her job and my job, and I wasn't actually getting paid extra, okay? And then I started talking. I started speaking up for myself with my supervisor. He understood, he got it. And then at some point, me and the supervisor started to talk about hiring, right? But if I didn't have that conversation and I just acted as if, you know, it was like, yeah, it was like 1.5 years, almost 2 years, I was doing it by myself. I was rewarded though by having my own office, so that was nice. Yeah, the other administrators probably frowned upon that, but you know, that was my extra conversation for doing two people's jobs you know, and I didn't know that was going to happen to me. So anywho, I brought it up to my boss and I said, look it, we've got all these influx of patients and things like that. There's way too many vendors to work with, way too many doctors to work with, and nurses. This is, if you want, optimal output, we need some additional staff. So I got involved in the interview process too, because I knew the jobs in and out, right? So I think that if this employee would have spoken up, or someone may argue, well, why should the employee speak up? Yes, I agree. Sometimes, like, why should it be her job to think like a leader? Like she said in the video, she's not a team leader. She don't want to be a team leader. She doesn't want to think like a leader. I'm like, okay, at least she's honest, right? So, but there are some employees that do think like a leader, and how to manage business, how to manage team. You need to have some good efficiencies, right? So she's basically like, listen, I'm going to do the work. I'm not getting involved in anything team lead, anything, right? And thus the team leader really should have, thought about these things. But she did not. She was just thinking about the workload. But the reality is she made a mistake of just not thinking it through, of getting rid of her team. She made a mistake. And she made a mistake believing that 1 to 2 employees were sufficient to carry out the work tasks, right? She made a mistake. And I believe, like I said, she made a mistake because likely the one employee and the one on leave are hard-working employees. But if you are a leader out there, supervisor, please do not make the mistake to think that your employees are happy-go-lucky about this because they haven't said anything yet, okay? They may start acting up that you might have to fire them, all right? Especially I've noticed too that when you, as an employee, you're in a position where there's no one else on the team, it's just you, there are unfortunately some employees that's going to take advantage of that. Yes, I've observed that. They're going to take advantage of that because they're like, listen, I'm doing all this work. Leave me alone, boss. Leave me alone. Don't expect too much, right? Yep. So I definitely think that if you are a supervisor out there and you have a very slim team, please don't make the mistake of thinking your team members are okay with this. They're just gritting their teeth. They're likely looking for another job. They may even be trying social media to try and earn an income like that lady did. 4 streams, okay? She has been planning to exit for a long time as far as I'm concerned. And finally her time came. She had enough. So leaders, if you have a small team or you're planning to restructure and downsize in your team, or you're about to fire, or it's the AI thing, AI is coming in, you want to get some employees out, really think it through. Do the exercise of job design. What is this going to actually look like day to day, task by task, workflow by workflow, what this will look like? And is this healthy for the current employees? Because we don't want people to be burned out, because when people are burned out, they get agitated. They won't respond calmly. They may even take a lot of sick days off, a lot of, days off here and there, like this lady did, obviously. She needed the time out. And this is what the employer was seeing. She saw that the lady was taking time off. And as a result of the time off, the employer realized, wow, there's a lot of workload here. But I'm thinking to myself, well, when you realize that, why didn't you start thinking out a backup plan? I just don't understand some leadership. I think some people are good managers of projects, but not many people are great leaders. Really tuning in to the well-being of the people. You see what I mean? Not everyone are great managers of people, but they're great managers of process, workflows, but not of people, That's the sad part for sure. So, yeah, this supervisor definitely dropped the ball, in my opinion. And she definitely talked a lot about feelings. Did you see that too? always talked about her, I feel. That's not typical. Well, that's not ideal language for a supervisor, a leader, to say, I feel. No, you come into the conversation with actual facts. You talk about, this is what I noticed, in this quarter in terms of performance. This is what I'm noticing now. This is what I'm noticing in terms of your output. This is what I'm noticing in terms of your hours. And I'm sure if she did all the calculation, this supervisor, she will realize, like what the employee was realizing and trying to let her know in different ways, that I'm doing my best here. I'm by myself. So this is why I think this supervisor was being really slick, and not taking accountability and responsibility that indeed it was her fault that this situation came to pass. All right, and I believe this is what the employee was also trying to say. This is your fault, and I'm just not going to pay for it anymore, right? And that's why it's interesting that this supervisor kept saying, I feel. No evidence, just feeling that the employee wasn't doing a full-time hour basis work, the hours. She wanted the employee to be there the whole day, instead of, she's again feeling that the employee is leaving part-time. Well, yeah, she had to complete another full-time role, social media. But I have to also say, is that, I think I've said this, it was a bit rude. But like I said, the employee was acting this way because she was at her last rope and she knew she was leaving. So please don't bring up social media incomes in your workplace. Anyway, let me know in the comment section what you thought about how this employee approached and handled her boss. Was she right? Partially right? Wrong? And how about the supervisor? Was she clueless, not clueless? Was she taking accountability of how her team got this way or not? Was she right to actually, call her out and say, hey, I'm noticing there's some performance drop here, right? Was she right to say that? Was she right to investigate what the heck was going on? Let me know in the comment section. At least she found out, right? The supervisor actually found out what the culprit was, likely. Well, just one of the reasons why maybe her performance was a little bit lacking, maybe. Because her focus was also on the full-time work, social media, right? So this is what happens when leaders don't fully appreciate the work that employees are doing. Smart employees are slowly but surely looking for another opportunity. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Give me a thumbs up if you like what you heard. It's a really quick and easy way to support this channel. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.